Stephen A., what's your reaction to what the commissioner said about Kaepernick last night?
I don't particularly give a damn. It doesn't matter to me what the Commissioner Roger Goodell says about Colin Kaepernick because I've never considered Commissioner Roger Goodell the problem. He could have been a more significant part of the solution. He could have shown better leadership or been a bit more strong-willed and imposing with the owners that he has to answer to. But I've never really considered him the problem because he's not somebody that ostracized Colin Kaepernick from the league. I happen to know that specifically because of his relationship with Jay-Z and Rock Nation and what they were trying to do in terms of getting Colin Kaepernick a tryout and even actions before that. Commissioner Roger Goodell isn't the problem. The owners are the problem. Here's the solution that I would care about. First of all, I don't think that Colin Kaepernick, quote unquote, deserves a job. I think he deserves a tryout under fair and equitable circumstances where we're able to judge his skills because he has been away from the game for 4 years. So let's see if he can still get it done. I believe that he can, but I don't believe that because of this situation that you just walk in and get an NFL job. That's not how that works. Give him a tryout, sure, but let him have to earn the job based on strictly his performance and nothing more. But outside of that, what I would like to see people asking Roger Goodell for, instead of just taking a knee or engaging in symbolic gestures, how about rallying a slew of owners to go up on Capitol Hill to push for federal legislation in combination with the lobbyists, with the assistance of the lobbyists, of course. Why not go up on Capitol Hill and push for these federal legislations to be implemented and taking place? The businesses that patronize the NFL brand that obviously are strongly supported by the black community. How about rallying with the players themselves and making sure that you impact those businesses by letting them know there's no more that they can do for minority and disenfranchised communities in this country. You certainly profit off of us. You exploit us. Now, what are you going to do for us outside of taking advantage of us? Why don't you do something along those lines? Because when you have white individuals in position of power, these are the people that they communicate with on an everyday basis. They're in those rooms. They've ingratiated themselves. They've networked. They've cultivated those relationships, and they're in a position to make a difference. So why not encourage Roger Goodell to engage in those kind of actions instead of engaging in symbolic gestures that amount to nothing unless those actions follow those symbolic gestures?
Marcus, I'll get to you in a minute, but Steve, I feel a need to follow up quickly by reminding everyone that the NFL has made a pledge to donate $250 million towards that end. In your mind, is that enough, or do you feel that more needs to be done?
No, because to me, it's not enough, but it's not because I want to dismiss their gesture of the money coming from themselves. I'm saying that if we're talking about real profound and real profound change, you have to get others involved. It's not about the NFL. It's about society. So let society make its collective contribution to the cause, not the NFL. If the NFL is able just to throw money onto the issue, that doesn't resolve our problems. It only serves to quiet the NFL voices. That's all it does, but it doesn't resolve the issues affecting our society. I disagree with that, and I'm just of the mindset, get others involved, get a collective effort, a maelstrom of get these guys in corporate America swarmed with collective muscle. That's what I'm about.
Stephen A., what I'd love to ask you to sort of wrap up this part of the discussion, I was going to play some sound, but it's a simple question. Because with all the things Marcus is talking about and all the incredibly important issues that are before us right now, what role does sports actually play in that? We're talking about NBA players questioning whether they will come back and play. We're talking about maybe that will lead to football players having the same questions. Baseball's in a whole other situation. But what role does players play in this part of the conversation?
Well, it's not just about playing. It's about what they're doing while they're playing. That's number one. Number two, to me, it's about two things, and they coincide with one another. It's about elevating the level of awareness to the pertinent issues. And number two, assisting in mobilizing whatever forces are necessary while we hand it off to people who know what the hell they're doing. I'm very fond of Dwight Howard, for example, as a person. I think that he's a good person. I think that Kyrie Irving is a very good person. I don't mean to cast any aspersions on them in terms of what I disagree with, but I watched Dwight Howard on television last night on Don Lemon's show on CNN, and I got to be honest with you, Dwight Howard didn't come across great for one reason and one reason only. He told us how he felt. He didn't tell us specifically what he was feeling and why. He didn't tell us about what needs to be done in order to resolve the situation. And these are important things to bring up. Why? Because throughout history, there are selective voices that were chosen to disseminate a message to the masses, because we know how easily things can be misconstrued, camouflaged, misinterpreted, on purpose, by the way, as well as indirectly or accidentally. And we have to pay attention and be mindful of those things. So when we talk about sports and the role sports can play, it's not just about a game. It's about understanding economic empowerment. When Malcolm X talked, he talked about economic empowerment. When Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talked, he talked about economic empowerment. Every black leader that you can find, no matter what year, what decade, what millennial, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is everybody talked about economic empowerment in this nation because we understand that's what stirs the cup. We're usually at the bottom of the food chain in that regard. The top of the food chain are white individuals, specifically white males, who have been in positions of power and used black folks like puppets on strings in terms of what they wanted from us and how they wanted to exploit us. If we say we want change and you have players who are economically empowered, then use that empowerment. Don't surrender it and give it up and end up back in the same situation that you were before, fragmented, divided, disenfranchised, and beyond. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And that's what we have to pay attention to. As people in the sports world, we all have a role to play in mobilizing and galvanizing the forces while elevating the level of awareness, and then hand it off to people who knows. A pastor once said this, Greenie: there is no success without a successor. You got to have somebody to pass the baton to. That is a problem that has plagued the black community for many, many years. We can't let that happen now.